हेलो स्टूडेंट्स। आज हम क्लास 11 केमिस्ट्री एनसीईआरटी की बुक से यूनिट 2 स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ एटम का रीडिंग करेंगे। ये एक ऑडियो बुक है रिवीजन पर्पस के लिए। अगर आप बुक्स बाय करना चाहते हैं तो लिंक मैंने डिस्क्रिप्शन में दे दिए हैं। The rich diversity of chemical behavior of different elements can be traced to the differences in the internal structure of atoms of these elements. The existence of atoms has been proposed since the time of early Indian and Greek philosophers in bracket 400 BC, who were of the view that atoms are the fundamental building blocks of matter. According to them, the continued subdivisions of matter would ultimately yield atoms which would not be further divisible. The word atom has been derived from the Greek word atomio, which means uncuttable or non-divisible. These earlier ideas were mere speculations and there was no way to test them experimentally. These ideas remained dormant for a very long time and were revived again by scientists in the 19th century. The atomic theory of matter was first proposed on a firm scientific basis by John Dalton, a British school teacher in 1808. His theory, called Dalton's atomic theory, regarded the atom as the ultimate particle of matter. Dalton's atomic theory was able to explain the law of conservation of mass, law of constant composition, and law of multiple proportion very successfully. However, it failed to explain the results of many experiments. For example, it was known that substances like glass or ebonite, when rubbed with silk or fur, get electrically charged. In this unit, we start with the experimental observations made by scientists towards the end of 19th and beginning of 20th century. This established that atoms are made of subatomic particles, that is electrons, protons and neutrons, a concept very different from that of Dalton. 2.1 Discovery of subatomic particles. An insight into the structure of atom was obtained from the experiments on electrical discharge through gases. Before we discuss these results, we need to keep in mind a basic rule regarding the behavior of charged particles. Like charges repel each other and unlike charges attract each other. 2.1.1 Discovery of electron. In 1830, Michael Faraday showed that if electricity is passed through a solution of an electrolyte, chemical reactions occurred at the electrodes, which resulted in the liberation and deposition of matter at the electrodes. He formulated certain laws which you will study in class 12. This result suggested the particulate nature of electricity. In mid-1850s, many scientists, mainly Faraday, began to study electrical discharge in partially evacuated tubes known as cathode ray discharge tubes. It is depicted in figure 2.1. A cathode ray tube is made of glass containing two thin pieces of metal called electrodes sealed in it. The electrical discharge through the gases could be observed only at very low pressures and at very high voltages. The pressure of different gases could be adjusted by evacuation of the glass tubes. When sufficiently high voltage is applied across the electrodes, current starts flowing through a stream of particles moving in the tube from the negative electrode, that is cathode, to the positive electrode, that is anode. These were called cathode rays or cathode ray particles. The flow of current from cathode to anode was further checked by making a hole in the anode and coating the tube behind anode with phosphorescent material zinc sulfide. When these rays, after passing through anode, strike the zinc sulfide coating, a bright spot is developed on the coating. The results of these experiments are summarized below. First, the cathode rays start from cathode and move towards the anode. Second, these rays themselves are not visible, but their behavior can be observed with the help of certain kind of materials which glow when hit by them. Television picture tubes are cathode ray tubes, and television pictures result due to fluorescence on the television screen coated with certain fluorescent or phosphorescent materials. Third, in the absence of electrical or magnetic field, these rays travel in a straight lines. Fourth, in the presence of electrical or magnetic field, the behavior of cathode rays are similar to that expected from negatively charged particles, suggesting that the cathode rays consist of negatively charged particles called electrons. Fifth, the characteristic of cathode rays in bracket electrons do not depend upon the material of electrodes and the nature of the gas presence in the cathode ray tube. Thus, we can conclude that electrons are basic constituent of all the atoms. 2.1.2 Charge to mass ratio of electron. In 1897, British physicist J.J. Thomson measured the ratio of electrical charge E to the mass of electron Me by using cathode ray tube and applying electrical and magnetic field perpendicular to each other as well as to the path of electrons. When only electric field is applied, the electrons deviate from their path and hit the cathode ray tube at point A. Similarly, when only magnetic field is applied, electron strikes the cathode ray tube at point C. By carefully balancing the electrical and magnetic field strength, it is possible to bring back the electron to the path which is followed in the absence of electric or magnetic field, and they hit the screen at point B. Thomson argued that the amount of deviation of the particles from their path in the presence of electrical or magnetic field depends upon, first, the magnitude of the negative charge on the particle. Greater the magnitude of the charge on the particle, greater is the interaction with the electric or magnetic field, and thus greater is the deflection. Second, the mass of the particle, lighter the particle, greater the deflection. And third, the strength of the electrical or magnetic field, the deflection of electrons from its original path increases with the increase in the voltage across the electrodes or the strength of the magnetic field. By carrying out accurate measurements on the amount of deflections observed by the electrons on the electric field strength or magnetic field strength, Thomson was able to determine the value of E by ME as E by ME is equals to 1.758820 into 10 raised to 11 coulomb per kg, where Me is the mass of the electron in kg and E is the magnitude of the charge on the electron in coulomb. Since electrons are negatively charged, the charge on electron is minus E. 2.1.3 Charge on an electron. R.A. Millikan in 1868 to 1953 devised a method known as oil drop experiment in bracket 1906 to 14 to determine the charge on the electrons. He found the charge on the electron to be minus 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. The present accepted value of electrical charge is minus 1.602176 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. The mass of the electron was determined by combining these results with Thomson's value of E upon Me ratio. Me is equals to E upon E by Me is equals to 1.602176 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb upon 1.758820 into 10 raised to 11 coulomb per kg is equals to 9.1094 into 10 raised to minus 31 kg. 2.1.4 Discovery of protons and neutrons. Electrical discharge carried out in the modified cathode ray tube led to the discovery of canal rays carrying positively charged particles. The characteristics of these positively charged particles are listed below. First, unlike cathode rays, mass of positively charged particles depend upon the nature of gas present in the cathode ray tube. These are simply the positively charged gaseous ions. Second, the charge to mass ratio of the particles depend on the gas from which this originates. Third, some of the positively charged particles carry a multiple of the fundamental unit of electrical charge. Fourth, the behavior of these particles in the magnetic or electrical field is opposite to that observed for electron or cathode rays. The smallest and lightest positive ion was obtained from hydrogen and was called proton. This positively charged particle was characterized in 1919. Later, a need was felt for the presence of electrically neutral particle as one of the constituent of atom. These particles were discovered by Chadwick in 1932 by bombarding a thin sheet of beryllium by alpha particles. When electrically neutral particles having a mass slightly greater than that of protons were emitted, he named these particles as neutrons. The important properties of all these fundamental particles are given in table 2.1. Atomic models. Observations obtained from the experiments mentioned in the previous sections have suggested that Dalton's indivisible atom is composed of subatomic particles carrying positive and negative charges. The major problems before the scientists after the discovery of subatomic particles were to account for the stability of atom, to compare the behavior of elements in terms of both physical and chemical properties, to explain the formation of different kinds of molecules by the combination of different atoms, and to understand the origin and nature of the characteristics of electromagnetic radiation absorbed or emitted by atoms. Different atomic models were proposed to explain the distributions of these charged particles in an atom. Although some of these models were not able to explain the stability of atoms, two of these models, one proposed by J.J. Thomson and the other proposed by Ernst Rutherford, are discussed below. Millikan's oil drop method. In this method, oil droplets in the form of mist produced by the atomizer were allowed to enter through a tiny hole in the upper plate of electrical condenser. The downward motion of these droplets was viewed through the telescope equipped with a micrometer eyepiece. By measuring the rate of fall of these droplets, Millikan was able to measure the mass of oil droplets. The air inside the chamber was ionized by passing a beam of X-rays through it. The electrical charge on these oil droplets was acquired by collisions with gaseous ions. The fall of this charge oil droplets can be retarded, accelerated, or made stationary depending upon the charge on the droplets and the polarity and strength of the voltage applied to the plate. By carefully measuring the effects of electrical field strength on the motion of oil droplets, Millikan concluded that the magnitude of electrical charge Q on the droplets is always an integral multiple of the electrical charge E. That is, Q is equals to Ne, where N is equals to 1, 2, 3. Figure 2.3, the Millikan oil drop apparatus for measuring charge E. In chamber, the forces acting on oil drop are gravitational, electrostatic due to electrical field, and a viscous drag force when the oil drop is moving. 2.2.1 Thomson model of atom. J.J. Thomson in 1898 proposed that an atom possesses a spherical shape, radius approximately 10 to minus 10 meter, in which the positive charge is uniformly distributed. The electrons are embedded into it in such a manner as it gives the most stable electrostatic arrangement. Many different names are given to this model, for example, plum pudding, raisin pudding, or watermelon. This model can be visualized as a pudding or watermelon of positive charge with plums or seeds embedded into it. An important feature of this model is that the mass of the atom is assumed to be uniformly distributed over the atom. Although this model was able to explain the overall neutrality of the atom, but was not consistent with the results of later experiments. Thomson was awarded Nobel Prize for Physics in 1906 for his theoretical and experimental investigations on the conduction of electricity by gases. In the later half of the 19th century, different kinds of rays were discovered. Besides those mentioned earlier, Wilhelm Röntgen in 1895 showed that when electrons strike a material in the cathode ray tubes, produce rays which can cause fluorescence in the fluorescent materials placed outside the cathode ray tubes. Since Röntgen did not know the nature of the radiation, he named them X-rays, and the name is still carried on. It was noticed that X-rays are produced effectively when electrons strike the dense metal anode called targets. These are not deflected by the electric and magnetic fields and have a very high penetrating power through the matter, and that is the reason that these rays are used to study the interior of the objects. These rays are very short wavelength, that is approximate 0.1 nanometer, and possess electromagnetic character. Henry Becquerel in bracket 1852 to 1908 observed that there are certain elements which emit radiation on their own and named this phenomenon as radioactivity, and the elements known as radioactive elements. This field was developed by Marie Curie, Pierre Curie, Rutherford, and Frederick Soddy. It was observed that three kinds of rays, that is alpha, beta, and gamma rays are emitted. Rutherford found that alpha rays consist of high energy particles carrying 2 units of positive charge and 4 units of atomic mass. He concluded that alpha particles are helium nuclei, as when alpha particles combined with 2 electrons yielded helium gas. Beta rays are negatively charged particles similar to electrons. The gamma rays are high energy radiations like X-rays, are neutral in nature and do not consist of particles. As regards penetrating power, alpha particles are the least, followed by beta rays in bracket 100 times that of alpha particles and gamma rays in bracket 1000 times of that alpha particles. 2.2.2 Rutherford's nuclear model of atom. Rutherford and his students, Hans Geiger and Ernst Marsden, bombarded very thin gold foil with alpha particles. Rutherford's famous alpha particle scattering experiment is represented in figure 2.5. A stream of high energy alpha particles from a radioactive source was directed at a thin foil, thickness around approximate 100 nanometer of gold metal. The thin gold foil had a circular fluorescent zinc sulfide screen around it. Whenever alpha particles struck the screen, a tiny flash of light was produced at that point. The results of scattering experiment were quite unexpected. According to Thomson model of atom, the mass of each gold atom in the foil should have been spread evenly over the entire atom, and alpha particles had enough energy to pass directly through such a uniform distribution of mass. It was expected that the particles would slow down and change directions only by small angles as they passed through the foil. It was observed that, first, most of the alpha particles passed through the gold foil undeflected. Second, a small fraction of the alpha particles was deflected by small angles. And third, a very few alpha particles, approximate 1 in 20,000, bounce back, that is, were deflected by nearly 180-degree angle. On the basis of the observations, Rutherford drew the following conclusions regarding the structure of atom. First, most of the space in the atom is empty, as most of the alpha particles pass through the foil undeflected. Second, a few positively charged alpha particles were deflected. The deflection must be due to enormous repulsive force, showing that the positive charge of the atom is not spread throughout the atom as Thomson had presumed. The positive charge has to be concentrated in a very small volume that repelled and deflected the positively charged alpha particles. Third, calculations by Rutherford show that the volume occupied by the nucleus is negligibly small as compared to the total volume of the atom. The radius of the atom is about 10 to the minus 10 meter, while that of nucleus is 10 to the minus 15 meter. One can appreciate this difference in size by realizing that if a cricket ball represents a nucleus, then the radius of atom would be about 5 km. On the basis of above observations and conclusions, Rutherford proposed the nuclear model of atom. According to this model, first, the positive charge and most of the mass of the atom was densely concentrated in extremely small region. This very small portion of the atom was called nucleus by Rutherford. Second, the nucleus is surrounded by electrons that move around the nucleus with a very high speed in circular paths called orbits. Thus, Rutherford's model of atom resembles the solar system, in which the nucleus plays the role of sun and the electrons that of revolving planets. Third, electrons and the nucleus are held together by electrostatic forces of attraction. 2.2.3 Atomic number and mass number. The presence of positive charge on the nucleus is due to the protons in the nucleus. As established earlier, the charge on the proton is equal but opposite to that of electron. The number of protons present in the nucleus is equal to atomic number. For example, the number of protons in the hydrogen nucleus is 1. In sodium atom it is 11. Therefore, their atomic numbers are 1 and 11 respectively. In order to keep the electrical neutrality, the number of electrons in an atom is equal to the number of protons. For example, number of electrons in hydrogen atom and sodium atom are 1 and 11 respectively. Atomic number Z is equals to number of protons in the nucleus of an atom is equals to number of electrons in a neutral atom. While the positive charge of the nucleus is due to protons, the mass of the nucleus due to protons and neutrons. As discussed earlier, protons and neutrons present in the nucleus are collectively known as nucleons. The total number of nucleons is termed as mass number A of the atom. Mass number A is equals to number of protons Z plus number of neutrons small n. 2.2.4 Isobars and isotopes. The composition of any atom can be represented by using the normal element symbol X with superscript on the left hand side as the atomic mass number A and subscript Z on the left hand side as the atomic number. Isobars are the atoms with same mass number but different atomic number. For example, 6 carbon 14 and 7 nitrogen 14. On the other hand, atoms with identical atomic number but different atomic mass number are known as isotopes. In other words, it is evident that difference between the isotopes is due to the presence of different number of neutrons present in the nucleus. For example, considering of hydrogen atom again, 99.985% of hydrogen atoms contain only one proton. This isotope is called protium, 1H1. Rest of the percentage of hydrogen atom contains two other isotopes. The one containing one proton and one neutron is called deuterium. D, atomic number 1 and mass 2, 0.015%. And the other one possessing one proton and two neutrons is called tritium, 1T3. Atomic mass is 3 and number is 1. The later isotope is found in trace amounts on the earth. Other examples of commonly occurring isotopes are carbon atoms containing 6, 7 and 8 neutrons besides 6 protons, carbon 12, carbon 13, carbon 14, chlorine atoms containing 18 and 20 neutrons besides 17 protons, chlorine 35 and chlorine 37. Lastly, an important point to mention regarding isotopes is that chemical properties of atoms are controlled by the number of electrons, which are determined by the number of protons in the nucleus. Number of neutrons present in the nucleus have very little effect on the chemical properties of an element. Therefore, all the isotopes of a given element show same chemical behavior. 2.2.5 Drawbacks of Rutherford model. As you have learnt above, Rutherford nuclear model of an atom is like a small scale solar system with the nucleus playing the role of the massive sun and the electrons being similar to the lighter planets. When classical mechanics is applied to the solar system, it shows that the planets describe well-defined orbits around the sun. The gravitational force between the planets is given by expression in bracket G into m1 m2 upon r2 r square, where m1 and m2 are the masses, r is the distance of separation of the masses and g is the gravitational constant. The theory can also calculate precisely the planetary orbits and these are in agreement with the experimental measurements. The similarity between the solar system and nuclear model suggests that electrons should move around the nucleus in well-defined orbits. Further, the Coulomb force in bracket K Q1 Q2 upon R square, where Q1 and Q2 are the charges, R is the distance of separation of the charges, and K is the proportionality constant between electron and the nucleus is mathematically similar to the gravitational force. However, when a body is moving in an orbit, it undergoes acceleration even if it is moving with a constant speed in an orbit because of changing direction. So, an electron in the nuclear model describing planet-like orbits is under acceleration. According to the electromagnetic theory of Maxwell, charged particles when accelerated should emit electromagnetic radiation. In bracket, this feature does not exist for planets since they are uncharged. Therefore, an electron in an orbit will emit radiation. The energy carried by radiation comes from electronic motion. The orbit will thus continue to shrink. Calculations show that it should take an electron only 10 to minus 8 seconds to spiral into the nucleus. But this does not happen. Thus, the Rutherford model cannot explain the stability of an atom. If the motion of an electron is described on the basis of the classical mechanics and electromagnetic theory, you may ask that since the motion of electrons in orbits is leading to the instability of the atom, then why not consider electrons as stationary around the nucleus? If the electrons were stationary, electrostatic attraction between the dense nucleus and the electrons would pull the electrons toward the nucleus to form a miniature version of Thomson's model of atom. Another serious drawback of the Rutherford model is that it says nothing about distribution of the electrons around the nucleus and the energies of these electrons. 2.3 Developments leading to the Bohr's model of atom. Historically, results observed from the studies of interactions of radiations with matter have provided immense information regarding the structure of atoms and molecules. Niels Bohr utilized these results to improve upon the model proposed by Rutherford. Two developments played a major role in the formulation of Bohr's model of atom. These were, first, dual character of the electromagnetic radiation, which means that radiations possess both wave-like and particle-like properties, and second, experimental results regarding atomic spectra. First, we will discuss about the dual nature of electromagnetic radiations. Experimental results regarding atomic spectra will be discussed in section 2.4. 2.3.1 Wave nature of electromagnetic radiation. In the mid-19th century, physicists actively studied absorption and emission of radiation by heated objects. These are called thermal radiations. They try to find out what the thermal radiation is made. It is now a well-known fact that thermal radiations consist of electromagnetic waves of various frequencies or wavelengths. It is based on a number of modern concepts which were unknown in the mid-19th century. First active study of thermal radiation laws occurred in the 1850s, and the theory of electromagnetic waves and the emission of such waves by accelerating charged particles was developed in the early 1870s by James Clerk Maxwell, which was experimentally confirmed later by Heinrich Hertz. Here we will learn some facts about electromagnetic radiations. James Maxwell in 1870 was the first to give a comprehensive explanation about the interaction between the charged bodies and the behavior of electrical and magnetic fields on macroscopic level. He suggested that when electrically charged particle moves under acceleration, alternating electrical and magnetic fields are produced and transmitted. These fields are transmitted in the forms of waves called electromagnetic waves or electromagnetic radiation. Light is the form of radiation known from early days, and speculation about its nature dates back to remote ancient times. In earlier days, light was supposed to be made of particles. It was only in the 19th century when wave nature of light was established. Maxwell was again the first to reveal that light waves are associated with oscillating electric and magnetic character. Although electromagnetic wave motion is complex in nature, we will consider here only a few simple properties. First, the oscillating electric and magnetic fields produced by oscillating charged particles are perpendicular to each other, and both are perpendicular to the direction of propagation of the wave. Simplified picture of electromagnetic wave is shown in figure 2.6. Second, unlike sound waves or waves produced in water, electromagnetic waves do not require medium and can move in vacuum. Third, it is now well established that there are many types of electromagnetic radiations which differ from one another in wavelength or frequency. This constitutes what is called electromagnetic spectrum. Different regions of the spectrum are identified by different names. Some examples are radio frequency region around 10 to 6 Hz used for broadcasting, microwave region around 10 to 10 Hz used for radar, infrared region around 10 to 13 Hz used for heating, ultraviolet region around 10 to 16 Hz, a component of sun's radiation. The small portion around 10 to 15 Hz is what is ordinarily called visible light. It is only this part which our eyes can see. Special instruments are required to detect non-visible radiation. Fourth, different kinds of units are used to represent electromagnetic radiation. These radiations are characterized by the properties, namely frequency and wavelength. The SI unit for frequency is Hertz, after Heinrich Hertz. It is defined as the number of waves that pass a given point in 1 second. Wavelength should have the units of length, and as you know that the SI units of length is meter. Since electromagnetic radiation consists of different kinds of waves of much smaller wavelengths, smaller units are used. Figure 2.7 shows various types of electromagnetic radiations which differ from one another in wavelengths and frequencies. In vacuum, all types of electromagnetic radiations, regardless of wavelength, travel at the same speed, that is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. This is called speed of light and is given the symbol c. The frequency, wavelength and velocity of light are related by the equation 2.5. The other commonly used quantity, especially in spectroscopy, is the wave number. It is defined as the number of wavelengths per unit length. Its unit are reciprocal of wavelength unit, that is meter inverse. However, commonly used unit is centimeter inverse. This is not SI unit. 2.3.2 Particle nature of electromagnetic radiation, Planck's quantum theory. Some of the experimental phenomena such as diffraction and interference can be explained by the wave nature of the electromagnetic radiation. However, following are some of the observations which could not be explained with the help of even the electromagnetic theory of 19th century physics, also known as classical physics. First, the nature of emission by radiation from hot bodies, that is black body radiation. Second, ejection of electrons from metal surface when radiation strikes it, in bracket photoelectric effect. Third, variation of heat capacity of solids as a function of temperature. Fourth, line spectra of atoms with spatial reference to hydrogen. This phenomena indicate that the system can take energy only in discrete amounts. All possible energies cannot be taken up or radiated. It is noteworthy that the first concrete explanation for the phenomenon of the black body radiation mentioned above was given by Max Planck in 1900. Let us first try to understand this phenomenon, which is given below. Hot objects emit electromagnetic radiations over a wide range of wavelengths. At high temperatures, an appreciable proportion of radiation is in the visible region of the spectrum. As the temperature is raised, a higher proportion of short wavelength, that is blue light, is generated. For example, when an iron rod is heated in a furnace, it first turns to dull red and then progressively becomes more and more red as the temperature increases. As this is heated further, the radiation emitted becomes white and then becomes blue as the temperature becomes very high. This means that red radiation is most intense at a particular temperature and the blue radiation is more intense at another temperature. This means intensities of radiations of different wavelengths emitted by hot body depend upon its temperature. By late 1850s, it was known that objects made of different material and kept at different temperatures emit different amount of radiation. Also, when the surface of an object is irradiated with light, in bracket electromagnetic radiation, a part of radiant energy is generally reflected as such, a part is absorbed and a part of it is transmitted. The reason for incomplete absorption is that ordinary objects are as a rule imperfect absorbs of radiation. An ideal body which emits and absorbs radiations of all frequencies uniformly is called a black body and the radiation emitted by such a body is called black body radiation. In practice, no such body exists. Carbon black approximates fairly closely to black body. A good physical approximation to a black body is a cavity with a tiny hole which has no other opening. Any ray entering the hole will be reflected by the cavity walls and will be eventually absorbed by the walls. A black body is also a perfect radiator of radiant energy. Furthermore, a black body is in thermal equilibrium with its surroundings. It radiates same amount of energy per unit area as it absorbs from its surroundings in any given time. The amount of light emitted, intensity of radiation from a black body and its spectral distribution depends only on its temperature. At a given temperature, intensity of radiation emitted increases with the increase of wavelength, reach a maximum value at a given wavelength and then starts decreasing with further increase of wavelength is shown in figure 2.8. Also, as the temperature increases, maxima of the curve shifts to short wavelength. Several attempts were made to predict the intensity of radiation as a function of wavelength, but the results of the above experiment could not be explained satisfactorily on the basis of the wave theory of light. Max Planck arrived at a satisfactory relationship by making an assumption that absorption and emission of radiation arises from oscillator, that is atoms in the wall of black body. Their frequency of oscillation is changed by interaction with oscillators of electromagnetic radiation. Planck assumed that radiation could be subdivided into discrete chunks of energy. He suggested that atoms and molecules could emit or absorb energy only in discrete quantities and not in a continuous manner. He gave the name quantum to the smallest quantity of energy that can be emitted or absorbed in the form of electromagnetic radiation. The energy E of a quantum of radiation is proportional to its frequency and is expressed by equation E is equals to hv. The proportionality constant h is known as Planck's constant and has the value 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34 joule into second. With this theory, Planck was able to explain the distribution of intensity in the radiation from black body as a function of frequency or wavelength at different temperatures. Quantization has been compared to standing on a staircase. A person can stand on any step of a staircase, but it is not possible for him or her to stand in between the two steps. The energy can take any one of the values from the following set, but cannot take on any values between them. E is equals to 0, hv, 2hv, 3hv, then nhv. Max Planck. Max Planck, a German physicist, received his PhD in theoretical physics from the University of Munich in 1879. In 1888, he was appointed director of the Institute of Theoretical Physics at the University of Berlin. Planck was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1918 for his quantum theory. Planck also made significant contributions in thermodynamics and other areas of physics. Photoelectric effect. In 1887, H. Hertz performed a very interesting experiment in which electrons were ejected when certain metals were exposed to a beam of light as shown in figure 2.9. The phenomenon is called photoelectric effect. The results observed in this experiment were: first, the electrons are ejected from the metal surface as soon as the beam of light strikes the surface. That is, there is no time lag between the striking of light beam and the ejection of electrons from the metal surface. Second, the number of electrons ejected is proportional to the intensity of brightness of light. Third, for each metal, there is a characteristic minimum frequency V0, also known as threshold frequency, below which photoelectric effect is not observed. At a frequency V greater than V0, the ejected electrons come out with certain kinetic energy. The kinetic energies of these electrons increase with the increase of frequency of the light used. All the above results could not be explained on the basis of laws of classical physics. According to later, the energy content of the beam of light depends upon the brightness of the light. In other words, number of electrons ejected and kinetic energy associated with them should depend on the brightness of light. It has been observed that though the number of electrons ejected does depend upon the brightness of light, the kinetic energy of the ejected electrons does not. For example, red light may shine on a piece of potassium metal for hours, but no photoelectrons are ejected. But as soon as even a very weak yellow light shines on the potassium metal, the photoelectric effect is observed. The threshold frequency for potassium metal is 5 into 10 to 14 Hz. Einstein in 1905 was able to explain the photoelectric effect using Planck's quantum theory of electromagnetic radiation as a starting point. Albert Einstein, a German-born American physicist, is regarded by many as one of the two great physicists the world has known. His three research papers, which he published in 1905, while he was employed as a technical assistant in a Swiss patent office in Bern, have profoundly influenced the development of physics. He received the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1921 for his explanation of the photoelectric effect. Shining a beam of light onto a metal surface can therefore be viewed as shooting a beam of particles, the photons. When a photon of sufficient energy strikes an electron in the atom of the metal, It transfers its energy instantaneously to the electron during the collision, and the electron is ejected without any time lag or delay. Greater the energy possessed by the photon, greater will be the transfer of energy to the electron and greater the kinetic energy to the ejected electron. In other words, kinetic energy of the ejected electron is proportional to the frequency of the electromagnetic radiation. Since the striking photon has energy equal to hv and the minimum energy required to eject the electron is hv0, then the difference in energy is transferred as the kinetic energy of the photoelectron. Following the conservation of energy principle, the kinetic energy of the ejected electron is given by the equation 2.7. hv is equals to hv0 plus 1 half mev square, where me is the mass of electron and v is the velocity associated with the ejected electron. Lastly, a more intense beam of light consists of large number of photons. Consequently, the number of electrons ejected is also larger as compared to that in an experiment in which a beam of weaker intensity of light is employed. Dual behavior of electromagnetic radiation. The particle nature of light posed a dilemma for scientists. On the one hand, it could explain the black body radiation and photoelectric effect satisfactorily, but on the other hand, it was not consistent with the known wave behavior of light, which could account for the phenomena of interference and diffraction. The only way to resolve the dilemma was to accept the idea that light possesses both particle and wave-like properties, that is, light has dual behavior. Depending on the experiment, we find that light behaves either as a wave or as a stream of particles. Whenever radiation interacts with matter, it displays particle-like properties on contrast to the wave-like properties, which it exhibits when it propagates. This concept was totally aligned to the way scientists thought about matter and radiation, and it took them a long time to become convinced of its validity. It turns out, as you shall see later, that some microscopic particles like electrons also exhibit this wave-particle duality. 2.3.3 Evidence for the quantized electronic energy levels, atomic spectra. The speed of light depends upon the nature of the medium through which it passes. As a result, the beam of light is deviated or refracted from its original path as it passes from one medium to another. It is observed that when a ray of white light is passed through a prism, the wave with shorter wavelength bends more than one with a longer wavelength. Since ordinary white light consists of waves with all the wavelengths in the visible range, a ray of white light is sprayed out into a series of colored bands called spectrum. The light of red color, which has longest wavelength, is deviated the least, while the violet light, which has shortest wavelength, is deviated the most. The spectrum of white light that we can see ranges from violet at 7.50 into 10 to 14 Hz to red at 4 into 10 to 14 Hz. Such a spectrum is called continuous spectrum. Continuous because violet merges into blue, blue into green, and so on. A similar spectrum is produced when a rainbow forms in the sky. Remember that visible light is just a small portion of the electromagnetic radiation. When electromagnetic radiation interacts with matter, atoms and molecules may absorb energy and reach to a higher energy state. With higher energy, these are in an unstable state. For returning to the normal energy state, the atoms and molecules emit radiations in various regions of the electromagnetic spectrum. Emission and absorption spectra. The spectrum of radiation emitted by a substance that has absorbed energy is called an emission spectrum. Atoms, molecules, or ions that have absorbed radiation are said to be excited. To produce an emission spectrum, energy is supplied to a sample by heating it or irradiating it, and the wavelength of the radiation emitted as the sample gives up the absorbed energy is recorded. An absorption spectrum is like the photographic negative of an emission spectrum. A continuum of radiation is passed through a sample which absorbs radiation of certain wavelengths. The missing wavelength, which correspond to the radiation absorbed by the matter, leave dark spaces in the bright continuous spectrum. The study of emission or absorption spectra is referred to as spectroscopy. The spectrum of the visible light, as discussed above, was continuous as all wavelengths of the visible light are represented in the spectra. The emission spectra of atoms in the gas phase, on the other hand, do not show a continuous spread of wavelength from red to violet. Rather, they emit light only at a specific wavelength with dark spaces between them. Such spectra are called line spectra or atomic spectra because the emitted radiation is identified by the appearance of bright lines in the spectra. Line emission spectra are of great interest in the study of electronic structure. Each element has a unique line emission spectrum. The characteristic lines in atomic spectra can be used in chemical analysis to identify unknown atoms in the same way as fingerprints are used to identify people. The exact matching of lines of the emission spectrum of the atoms of a known element with the lines from an unknown sample quickly establishes to identify. Of the later, German chemist Robert Bunsen was one of the first investigators to use line spectra to identify elements. Elements like rubidium, cesium, thallium, indium, gallium, and scandium were discovered when their minerals were analyzed by spectroscopic methods. The element helium was discovered in the sun by a spectroscopic method. Line spectrum of hydrogen. When an electric discharge is passed through gaseous hydrogen, the H2 molecules dissociate and the energetically excited hydrogen atoms emit electromagnetic radiation of discrete frequencies. The hydrogen spectrum consists of several series of lines named after the discoverers. Balmer showed in 1885 on the basis of experimental observations that if spectral lines are expressed in terms of wave number, then the visible lines of the hydrogen spectrum obey the following formula. Wave number is equals to 1,09,677 into 1 upon 2 square minus 1 upon n square centimeter inverse, where n is an integer equal to or greater than 3. In bracket, that is n is equals to 3, 4, 5. The series of lines described by this formula are called the Balmer series. The Balmer series of lines are the only lines in the hydrogen spectrum which appear in the visible region of the electromagnetic spectrum. The Swedish spectroscopist Johannes Rayberg noted that all series of lines in the hydrogen spectrum could be described by the following expressions. Wave number is equals to 109677 in bracket 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon n2 square centimeter inverse, where n1 is equals to 1, 2 and so on, n2 is equals to n1 plus 1, comma, n1 plus 2 and so on. The value 109677 centimeter inverse is called the Rayberg constant for hydrogen. The first 5 series of lines that correspond to n1 is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are known as Lehmann, Balmer, Paschen, Brackett and Pfund series respectively. Table 2.3 shows this series of transition in the hydrogen spectrum. Figure 2.11 shows the Lyman, Balmer and Paschen series of transitions for hydrogen atom. Of all the elements, hydrogen atom has the simplest line spectrum. Line spectrum becomes more and more complex for heavier atom. There are, however, certain features which are common to all line spectra. That is, first, line spectrum of element is unique, and second, there is regularity in the line spectrum of each element. The question which arise are, what are the reasons for the similarities? Is it something to do with the electronic structure of atoms? These are the questions need to be answered. We shall find later that the answer to these questions provide the key in understanding electronic structure of these elements. 2.4 Bohr's model for hydrogen atom. Niels Bohr in 1913 was the first to explain quantitatively the general features of the structure of hydrogen atom and its spectrum. He used Planck's concept of quantization of energy. Though the theory is not the modern quantum mechanics, it can still be used to rationalize many points in the atomic structure and spectra. Bohr's model for hydrogen atom is based on the following postulates. First, the electron in the hydrogen atom can move around the nucleus in a circular path of fixed radius and energy. These paths are called orbits, stationary states or allowed energy states. These orbits are arranged concentrically around the nucleus. Second, The energy of an electron in the orbit does not change with time. However, the electron will move from a lower stationary state to a higher stationary state when required amount of energy is absorbed by the electron or energy is emitted when electron moves from higher stationary state to the lower stationary state. The energy change does not take place in a continuous manner. Third, the frequency of radiation absorbed or emitted when transition occurs between two stationary states that differ in energy by delta E is given by V is equals to delta E by H is equals to E2 minus E1 upon H, where E1 and E2 are the energies of the lower and higher allowed energy states respectively. This expression is commonly known as Bohr's frequency rule. Fourth, the angular momentum of an electron is quantized. In a given stationary state, it can be expressed as in equation 2.11. MEVR is equals to N into H upon 2 pi, where N is equals to 1, 2, 3 and onwards. Where Me is the mass of electron, V is the velocity and R is the radius of the orbit in which electron is moving. Thus, an electron can move only in those orbits for which its angular momentum is integral multiple of H upon 2 pi. That means angular momentum is quantized. Radiation is emitted or observed only when transition of electron takes place from one quantized value of angular momentum to another. Therefore, Maxwell's electromagnetic theory does not apply here. That is why only certain fixed orbits are allowed. The details regarding the derivation of energies of the stationary states used by Bohr are quite complicated and will be discussed in higher classes. However, according to Bohr's theory for hydrogen atom, the stationary states for electron are numbered n is equals to 1, 2, 3. These integral numbers are known as principal quantum numbers. B, the radii of the stationary states are expressed as Rn is equals to n square into A0, where A0 is equals to 52.9 pm. Thus, the radius of the first stationary state called the Bohr orbit is 52.9 picometer. Normally, the electron in the hydrogen atom is found in this orbit. As n increases, the value of R will increase. In other words, the electron will be present away from the nucleus. C, the most important property associated with the electron is the energy of its stationary state. It is given by the expression En is equals to minus RH into 1 upon n square, where n is equals to 1, 2, 3 and so on. Where RH is called Rydberg constant and its value is 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 joule. The energy of the lowest state, also called as the ground state, is E1 is equals to minus 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 into 1 upon 1 square is equals to minus 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 joule. The energy of the stationary state for n is equals to 2 will be E2 is equals to minus 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 joule into 1 upon 2 square is equals to minus 0.545 into 10 raised to minus 18 joule. Figure 2.11 depicts the energies of different stationary states or energy levels of hydrogen atom. This representation is called an energy level diagram. When the electron is free from the influence of nucleus, the energy is taken as 0. The electron in this situation is associated with the stationary state of principal quantum number is equals to n is equals to infinite. N is called as ionized hydrogen atom. When the electron is attracted by the nucleus and is present in orbit n, the energy is emitted and its energy is lowered. That is the reason for the presence of negative sign in equation and depicts its stability relative to the reference state of zero energy and n is equals to infinite. D. Bohr's theory can also be applied to the ions containing only one electron, similar to that present in hydrogen atom. For example, helium plus, lithium plus 2, beryllium plus 3 and so on. The energies of the stationary states associated with these kinds of ions are given by the expression En is equals to minus 2.18 into 10 to minus 18 into Z square upon N square joule, and reduce by the expression Rn is equals to 52.9 N square upon Z into picometer, where Z is the atomic number and has values 2, 3 for the helium and lithium atoms respectively. From the above equations, it is evident that the value of energy becomes more negative and that of radius becomes smaller with increase of Z. This means that electron will be tightly bound to the nucleus. E. It is also possible to calculate the velocities of electrons moving in these orbits. Although the precise equation is not given here, qualitatively the magnitude of velocity of electron increases with increase of positive charge on the nucleus and decreases with increase of principal quantum number. 2.4.1 Explanation of line spectrum of hydrogen. Line spectrum observed in case of hydrogen atom as mentioned in section 2.3.3 can be explained quantitatively using Bohr's model. According to assumption 2, radiation is absorbed if the electron moves from the orbit of smaller principal quantum number to the orbit of higher principal quantum number, whereas the radiation is emitted if the electron moves from higher orbit to lower orbit. The energy gap between the two orbits is given by equation 2.16. Delta E is equals to EF minus EI. Combining equations 2.13 and 2.16, delta E is equals to minus RH upon NF square minus RH upon NI square, where NI and NF stand for initial orbit and final orbits. Delta E is equals to RH in bracket 1 upon N1 square, Ni square minus 1 upon Nf square is equals to 2.18 into 10 to minus 18 joule into 1 upon Ni square minus 1 upon Nf square. The frequency associated with the absorption and emission of the photon can be evaluated by using equation. In case of absorption spectrum, Nf is greater than Ni and the term in the parenthesis is positive and energy is absorbed. On the other hand, in case of emission spectrum, Ni is greater than Nf, delta E is negative and energy is released. The expression 2.17 is similar to that used by Rayberg 2.19, derived empirically using the experimental data available at that time. Further, each spectral line, whether in absorption or emission spectrum, can be associated to the particular transition in hydrogen atom. In case of large number of hydrogen atoms, different possible transitions can be observed and thus leading to large number of spectral lines. The brightness or intensity of spectral lines depends upon the number of photons of same wavelength or frequency absorbed or emitted. 2.4.2 Limitations of Bohr's model. Bohr's model of the hydrogen atom was no doubt an improvement over Rutherford's nuclear model, as it could account for the stability and line spectra of hydrogen atom and hydrogen-like ions. However, Bohr's model was too simple to account for the following points. First, it fails to account for the finer details of the hydrogen atom spectrum observed by using sophisticated spectroscopic techniques. This model is also unable to explain the spectrum of atoms other than hydrogen, for example, helium atom which possesses only 2 electrons. Further, Bohr's theory was also unable to explain the splitting of spectral lines in the presence of magnetic field or an electric field. Second, it could not explain the ability of atoms to form molecules by chemical bonds. In other words, taking into account the points mentioned above, one needs a better theory which can explain the salient features of the structure of complex atoms. 2.5 Towards quantum mechanical model of the atom. In view of the shortcoming of the Bohr's model, attempts were made to develop a more suitable and general model for atoms. Two important developments which contributed significantly in the formulation of such a model were: first, dual behavior of matter; second, Heisenberg uncertainty principle. 2.5.1 Dual behavior of matter. The French physicist de Broglie in 1924 proposed that matter-like radiation should also exhibit dual behavior, that is both particle and wave-like properties. This means that just as the photon has momentum as well as wavelength, electrons should also have momentum as well as wavelength. De Broglie from this analogy gave the following relation between wavelength and momentum of a material particle. Lambda is equals to h upon mv is equals to h upon p, where m is the mass of the particle, v its velocity and p its momentum. De Broglie's prediction was confirmed experimentally when it was found that an electron beam undergoes diffraction, a phenomenon characteristic of waves. This fact has been put to use in making an electron microscope, which is based on the wave-like behavior of electrons, just as an ordinary microscope utilizes the wave nature of light. An electron microscope is a powerful tool in modern scientific research because it achieves a magnification of about 15 million times. It needs to be noted that according to de Broglie, every object in motion has a wave character. The wavelengths associated with ordinary objects are so short that the wave properties cannot be detected. The wavelengths associated with electrons and other subatomic particles can, however, be detected experimentally. Results obtained from the following problems prove these points qualitatively. 2.5.2 Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Werner Heisenberg, a German physicist in 1927, stated uncertainty principle, which is the consequence of dual behavior of matter and radiation. It states that it is impossible to determine simultaneously the exact position and exact momentum or velocity of an electron. Mathematically, it can be given as in equation 2.23, where delta x is the uncertainty in position and delta px or delta vx is the uncertainty in momentum or velocity of the particle. If the position of the electron is known with high degree of accuracy, then the velocity of the electron will be uncertain. On the other hand, if the velocity of the electron is known precisely, then the position of the electron will be uncertain. Thus, if we carry out some physical measurements on the electron's position or velocity, the outcome will always depict a fuzzy or blur picture. The uncertainty principle can be best understood with the help of an example. Suppose you are asked to measure the thickness of a sheet of paper with an unmarked meter stick. Obviously, the results obtained would be extremely inaccurate and meaningless. In order to obtain any accuracy, you should use an instrument graduated in units smaller than the thickness of a sheet of the paper. Analogously, in order to determine the position of an electron, we must use a meter stick calibrated in units of smaller than the dimensions of electron. Keep in mind that an electron is considered as a point charge and is therefore dimensionless. To observe an electron, we can illuminate it with light or electromagnetic radiation. The light used must have a wavelength smaller than the dimensions of an electron. The high momentum photons of such light would change the energy of electrons by collisions. In this process, we no doubt would be able to calculate the position of the electron, but we would know very little about the velocity of the electron after the collision. Significance of uncertainty principle. One of the important implications of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle is that it rules out existence of definite paths or trajectories of electrons and other similar particles. The trajectory of an object is determined by its location and velocity at various moments. If we know where a body is at a particular instant, and if we also know its velocity and the forces acting on it at that instant, we can tell where the body would be sometime later. We therefore conclude that the position of an object and its velocity fix its trajectory. Since for a subatomic object such as an electron, it is not possible simultaneously to determine the position and the velocity at any given instant to an arbitrary degree of precision, it is not possible to talk of the trajectory of an electron. The effect of Heisenberg uncertainty principle is significant only for motion of microscopic objects and is negligible for that of macroscopic objects. This can be seen from the following examples. If uncertainty principle is applied to an object of mass, say about a milligram, 10 raised to minus 6 kg, then delta V into delta X is equals to H upon 4 pi m is equals to 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34 joule into second upon 4 into 3.1416 into 10 raised to minus 6 kg is equals to 10 raised to minus 28 into meter raised to minus 2 into second inverse. The value of delta V into delta X obtained is extremely small and is insignificant. Therefore, one may say that in dealing with milligram sized or heavier objects, the associated uncertainties are hardly of any real consequences. In the case of a microscopic object like an electron, on the other hand, delta V into delta X obtained is much larger and such uncertainties are of real consequence. For example, for an electron whose mass is 9.11 into 10 to minus 31 kg, according to Heisenberg uncertainty principle, delta V into delta X is equals to H upon 4 pi m is equals to 6.626 into 10 to minus 34 joule into second upon 4 into 3.1416 into 9.11 into 10 to minus 31 kg is equals to 10 raised to minus 4 m raised to minus 2 into second inverse. It therefore means that if one tries to find the exact location of the electron, say to an uncertainty of only 10 raised to minus 8 meter, then the uncertainty delta V in velocity would be 10 raised to minus 4 meter square into second inverse upon 10 raised to minus 8 meter is equals to 10 raised to 4 meter per second, which is so large that the classical picture of electrons moving in Bohr's orbit cannot hold good. It therefore means that the precise statements of the position and momentum of electrons have to be replaced by the statements of probability that the electron has at a given position and momentum. This is what happens in the quantum mechanical model of atom. Reasons for the failure of the Bohr model. Reasons for the failure of the Bohr model. One can now understand the reasons for the failure of the Bohr model. In Bohr model, an electron is regarded as a charged particle moving in well-defined circular orbits about the nucleus. The wave character of the electron is not considerate in Bohr model. Further, an orbit is a clearly defined path, and this path can completely be defined only if both the position and the velocity of the electron are known exactly at the same time. This is not possible according to the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Bohr model of the hydrogen atom therefore not only ignores dual behavior of matter but also contradicts Heisenberg uncertainty principle. In view of this inherent weaknesses in the Bohr model, there was no point in extending Bohr model to other atoms. In fact, an insight into the structure of the atom was needed, which could account for wave-particle duality of matter and be consistent with Heisenberg uncertainty principle. This came with the advent of quantum mechanics. 2.6 Quantum mechanical model of atom. Classical mechanics based on Newton's laws of motion successfully describes the motion of all macroscopic objects such as falling stone, orbiting planets, etc., which have essentially a particle-like behavior as shown in the previous section. However, it fails when applied to microscopic objects like electrons, atoms, molecules, etc. This is mainly because of the fact that classical mechanics ignores the concept of dual behavior of matter, especially for subatomic particles, and the uncertainty principle. The branch of science that takes into account this dual behavior of matter is called quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics is a theoretical science that deals with the study of the motions of the microscopic objects that have both observable wave-like and particle-like properties. It specifies the laws of motion that these objects obey. When quantum mechanics is applied to macroscopic objects, the results are the same as those from the classical mechanics. Quantum mechanics was developed independently in 1926 by Werner Heisenberg and Erwin Schrödinger. Here, however, we shall be discussing the quantum mechanics, which is based on the ideas of wave motion. The fundamental equation of quantum mechanics was developed by Schrödinger and it won him the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1933. This equation, which incorporates wave-particle duality of matter, is proposed by de Broglie, is quite complex and knowledge of higher mathematics is needed to solve it. You will learn its solutions for different systems in higher classes. For a system, the Schrodinger equation is written as h caret psi is equals to E psi, where h caret is a mathematical operator called Hamiltonian. Schrodinger gave a recipe of constructing this operator from the expression for the total energy of the system. The total energy of the system takes into account the kinetic energies of all the subatomic particles, attractive potential between the electrons and nuclei, and repulsive potential among the electrons and nuclei individually. Solution of this equation gives E and psi. Hydrogen atom and the Schrodinger equation. When Schrodinger equation is solved for hydrogen atom, the solution gives the possible energy levels the electron can occupy and the corresponding wave function of the electron associated with each energy level. This quantized energy states and corresponding wave functions, which are characterized by a set of three quantum numbers, in bracket principal quantum number n, azimuthal quantum number L, and magnetic quantum number Ml, arises as the natural consequences in the solution of the Schrodinger equation. When an electron is any energy state, the wave function corresponding to that energy state contains all information about the electron. The wave function is a mathematical function whose value depends upon the coordinates of the electron in the atom and does not carry any physical meaning. Such wave functions of hydrogen or hydrogen-like spaces with one electron are called atomic orbitals. Such wave functions pertaining to one electron spaces are called one electron systems. The probability of finding an electron at a point within an atom is proportional to the psi square at that point. The quantum mechanical results of the hydrogen atom successfully predict all aspects of the hydrogen atom spectrum, including some phenomena that could not be explained by the Bohr model. Application of Schrodinger equation to multi-electron atoms present a difficulty. The Schrodinger equation cannot be solved exactly for a multi-electron atom. This difficulty can be overcome by using approximate methods. Such calculations with the aid of modern computers show that orbitals in atoms other than hydrogen do not differ in any radical way from the hydrogen orbitals discussed above. The principal difference lies in the consequence of increased nuclear charge. Because of this, all the orbitals are somewhat contracted. Further, as you shall see later, unlike orbitals of hydrogen or hydrogen-like species, whose energies depend only on the quantum number n, the energies of the orbitals in multi-electron atoms depend on quantum numbers n and l. Important features of the quantum mechanical model of atom. Quantum mechanical model of atom is the picture of the structure of the atom which emerged from the application of the Schrodinger equation to atoms. The following are the important features of the quantum mechanical model of atom. First, the energy of electrons in atoms is quantized, for example, when electrons are bound to the nucleus in atoms. Second, the existence of quantized electronic energy levels is a direct result of the wave-like properties of electrons and are allowed solutions of Schrodinger wave equation. Third, both the exact position and exact velocity of an electron in an atom cannot be determined simultaneously. The path of an electron in an atom therefore can never be determined or known accurately. That is why, as you shall see later on, one talks of only probability of finding the electron at different points in an atom. Fourth, an atomic orbital is the wave function psi for an electron in an atom. Whenever an electron is described by a wave function, we say that the electron occupies that orbital. Since many such wave functions are possible for an electron, there are many atomic orbitals in an atom. This one electron orbital wave functions or orbitals form the basis of the electronic structure of atoms. In each orbital, the electron has a definite energy. An orbital cannot contain more than two electrons. In multi-electron atom, the electrons are filled in various orbitals in the order of increasing energy. For each electron, of a multi-electron atom, there shall therefore be an orbital wave function characteristic of the orbital it occupies. All the information about the electron in an atom is stored in its orbital wave function psi, and quantum mechanics makes it possible to extract this information out of psi. Fifth, the probability of finding an electron at a point within an atom is proportional to the share of the orbital wave function, that is psi square at the point. Psi square in bar is known as probability density and is always positive. From the value of psi square at different points within an atom, it is possible to predict the region around the nucleus where electron will most probably be found. 2.6.1 Orbitals and quantum numbers. A large number of orbitals are possible in an atom. Qualitatively, these orbitals can be distinguished by their size, shape, and orientation. An orbital of smaller size means there is more chance of finding the electron near the nucleus. Similarly, shape and orientation mean that there is more probability of finding the electron along certain directions than along others. Atomic orbitals are precisely distinguished by what are known as quantum numbers. Each orbital is designated by three quantum numbers labeled as n, l, and ml. The principal quantum number n is a positive integer with value of n is equals to 1, 2, 3 and onward. The principal quantum number determines the size and to large extent the energy of the orbital. For hydrogen atom and hydrogen-like species, energy and size of the orbital depends only on n. The principal quantum number also identifies the shell. With the increase in the value of n, the number of allowed orbital increases and are given by n square. All the orbitals of a given value of n constitute a single cell of atom and are represented by the following letters. N is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4. Shell is equals to K, L, M, N. Size of an orbital increases with increase of principal quantum number n. In other words, the electron will be located away from the nucleus. Since energy is required in shifting away the negatively charged electron from the positively charged nucleus, the energy of the orbital will increase with increase of n. Azimuthal quantum number L is also known as orbital angular momentum or subsidiary quantum number. It defines the three-dimensional shape of the orbital. For a given value of n, L can have n values ranging from 0 to n minus 1. That is, for a given value of n, the possible value of L are L is equals to 0, 1, 2 onward, then n minus 1. For example, when n is equals to 1, value of L is only 0. For n is equals to 2, the possible value of L can be 0 and 1. For n is equals to 3, the possible L values are 0, 1 and 2. Each shell consists of one or more subshells or sublevels. The number of subshells in a principal shell is equal to the value of n. For example, in the first shell, there is only one subshell which corresponds to L is equals to 0. There are two subshells in the second shell, 3 in third shell, and so on. Each subshell is assigned an azimuthal quantum number. Subshells corresponding to different values of L are represented by the following symbols. Value for L 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notation for subshells S, P, D, F, G, H. Table 2.4 shows the permissible values of L for a given principal quantum number and the corresponding subshell notation. Magnetic orbital quantum number M1 gives information about the spatial orientation of the orbital with respect to standard set of coordinate axes. For any subshell, 2L plus 1 values of ML are possible and these values are given by ML is equals to minus L minus 1 minus L minus 2 0 1 L minus 2 L minus 1 L. Thus for L is equals to 0, the only permitted value of ML is equals to 0, 2 2 into 0 plus 1 is equals to 0, 1s orbital. For L is equals to 1, ml can be minus 1, 0 and plus 1. For L is equals to 2, ml is equals to minus 2, minus 1, 0, plus 1 and plus 2. It should be noted that the values of ml are derived from L and that the value of L are derived from N. Each orbital in an atom therefore is defined by a set of values for N, L, N, M, L. An orbital described by the quantum numbers N is equals to 2, L is equals to 1, ML is equals to 0 is an orbital in the p subcell of the second shell. The following chart gives the relation between the subcell and the number of orbitals associated with it. Electron spin S. The three quantum numbers labeling an atomic orbital can be used equally well to define its energy, shape and orientation. But all these quantum numbers are not enough to explain the line spectra observed in the case of multi-electron atoms. That is, some of the lines actually occur in doublets, triplets, etc. This suggests the presence of a few more energy levels than predicted by the three quantum numbers. In 1925, George Uhlenbeck and Samuel Goldsmith proposed the presence of the fourth quantum number, known as the electron spin quantum number. An electron spins around its own axis, much in a similar way as Earth spins around its own axis while revolving around the Sun. In other words, an electron has, besides charge and mass, intrinsic spin angular quantum number. Spin angular momentum of the electron, a vector quantity, can have two orientations relative to the chosen axis. These two orientations are distinguished by the spin quantum numbers ms, which can take the values of plus 1/2 or minus 1/2. These are called the two spin states of the two electrons and are normally represented by two arrows, spin up and spin down. Two electrons that have different ms values, one plus half and the other minus 1/2, are said to have opposite spins. An orbital cannot hold more than two electrons and these two electrons should have opposite spins. To sum up, the four quantum numbers provide the following information. First, N defines the shell, determines the size of the orbital and also to a large extent the energy of the orbital. Second, there are N subcells in the nth cell. L identifies First, N defines the shell, determines the size of the orbital and also to a large extent the energy of the orbital. Second, there are N subshells in the nth cell. L identifies the subcell and determines the shape of the orbital. There are 2L plus 1 orbitals of each type in a subcell, that is 1 s orbital, 3 p orbitals and 5 d orbitals per subshell. To some extent, L also determines the energy of the orbital in a multi-electron atom. Third, M1 designates the orientation of the orbital. For a given value of L, ML has 2L plus 1 values, the same as the number of orbitals per subshell. It means that the number of orbitals is equal to the number of ways in which they are oriented. Fourth, MS refers to orientation of the spin of the electron. Orbit, orbital and its importance. Orbit and orbitals are not synonymous. An orbit, as proposed by Bohr, is a circular path around the nucleus in which an electron moves. A precise description of this path of the electron is impossible according to Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Bohr orbits therefore have no real meaning and their existence can never be demonstrated experimentally. An atomic orbital, on the other hand, is a quantum mechanical concept and refers to the one electron wave function psi in an atom. It is characterized by three quantum numbers n, l, and ml, and its value depends upon the coordinates of the electron. Psi has by itself no physical meaning. It is the square of the wave function, that is psi square, which has a physical meaning. Psi square is the probability per unit volume and the product of psi square and a small volume called a volume element yields the probability of finding the electron in that volume In bracket, the reason for specifying a small volume element is that psi square varies from one region to the another in a space, but of finding the electron in a given volume can then be calculated by the, I think I missed one line. I'm reading this bracket again. The reason for specifying a small volume element is that psi square varies from one region to another in space, but its value can be assumed to be constant within a small volume element. The total probability of finding the electron in a given volume can then be calculated by the sum of all the products of psi square and the corresponding volume elements. It is thus possible to get the probable distribution of an electron in an orbital. 2.6.2 Shapes of atomic orbitals. The orbital wave function or psi for an electron in an atom has no physical meaning. It is simply a mathematical function of the coordinates of the electron. However, for different orbitals, the plots of corresponding wave functions as a function of r are different. Figure 2.12a gives such a plots for 1s and 2s orbitals. According to the German physicist Max Born, the square of the wave function at a point gives the probability density of the electron at that point. The variation of psi square as a function of r for 1s and 2s orbitals is given in figure 2.12b. Here again, you may note that the curves for 1s and 2s orbitals are different. It may be noted that for 1s orbital, the probability density is maximum at the nucleus and it decreases sharply as we move away from it. On the other hand, for 2s orbital, the probability density first decreases sharply to 0 and again starts increasing. After reaching a small maxima, it decreases again and approaches 0 as the value of r increases further. The region where this probability density function reduces to 0 is nodal surfaces or simply nodes. In general, it has been found that ns orbital has n-1 nodes. That is, number of nodes increases with increase of principal quantum number n. In other words, number of nodes for 2s orbital is 1, 2 for 3s and so on. This probability density variation can be visualized in terms of charge Hood diagrams, charge cloud diagrams. In these diagrams, the density of the dots in a region represents electron probability density in that region. Boundary surface diagrams of constant probability density for different orbitals give a fairly good representation of the shapes of the orbitals. In this representation, a boundary surface or contour surface is drawn in a space for an orbital on which the value of probability density psi square is constant. In principle, many such boundary surfaces may be possible. However, for a given orbital, only that boundary surface diagram of constant probability density is taken to be good representation of the shape of the orbital, which encloses a region or volume in which the probability of finding the electron is very high, say 90%. The boundary surface diagram for 1s and 2s orbitals are given in figure 2.13b. One may ask a question, why do we not draw a boundary surface diagram which bounds a region in which the probability of finding the electron is 100%? The answer to this question is that the probability density psi square has always some value. Howsoever small it may be at any finite distance from the nucleus. It is therefore not possible to draw a boundary surface diagram of a rigid size in which the probability of finding the electron is 100%. Boundary surface diagram for a s orbital is actually a sphere centered on the nucleus. In two dimensions, the sphere looks like a circle. It encloses a region in which probability of finding the electron is about 90%. Thus, we see that 1s and 2s orbitals are spherical in shape. In reality, all the s orbitals are spherically symmetric. That is, the probability of finding the electron at a given distance is equal in all the directions. It is also observed that the size of the s orbital increases with increase in n, that is 4s greater than 3s, greater than 2s, greater than 1s, and the electron is located further away from the nucleus as the principal quantum number increases. Boundary surface diagrams for three 2p orbitals are shown in figure 2.14. In these diagrams, the nucleus is at the origin. Here, unlike s orbitals, the boundary surface The boundary surface diagrams are not spherical. Instead, each p orbital consists of two sections called lobes that are on either side of the plane that passes through the nucleus. The probability density function is zero on the plane where the two lobes touch each other. The size, shape, and energy of the three orbitals are identical. They differ, however, in the way the lobes are oriented. Since the lobes may be considered to lie along the x, y, or z axis, they are given the designations 2px, 2py, and 2pz. It should be understood, however, that there is no simple relation between the values of ml and the x, y, and z directions. For our purpose, it is sufficient to remember that because there are three possible values of ml, there are therefore three p orbitals whose axes are mutually perpendicular. Like s orbitals, p orbitals increase in size and energy with increase in the principal quantum number, and hence the order of the energy and size of various p orbitals is 4p greater than 3p greater than 2p. Further, like s orbitals, the probability density functions for p orbital also pass through value 0, besides at 0 in infinite distance as the distance from the nucleus increases. The number of nodes are given by the n minus 2, that is number of radial node is 1 for 3p orbital, 2 for 4p orbital, and so on. For L is equals to 2, the orbital is known as d orbital and the minimum value of principal quantum number has to be 3. As the value of L cannot be greater than n minus 1. There are 5 ml values for L is equals to 2, and thus there are 5 d orbitals. The boundary surface diagram of d orbitals are shown in figure 2.15. The 5 d orbitals are designated as dxy, dyz, dxz, dx square minus phi square, and dz square. The shapes of the first 4d orbitals are similar to each other, whereas as that of the fifth one, dz square is different from others, but all 5 3d orbitals are equivalent in energy. The, the d orbitals for which n is greater than 3 also have shapes similar to 3d orbital but differ in energy and size. Besides the radial nodes, the probability density functions for the np and nd orbitals are 0 at the plane passing through the nucleus. For example, in case of pz orbital, xy plane is a nodal plane. In case of dxy orbital, there are two nodal planes passing through the origin and bisecting the xy plane containing z-axis. These are called angular nodes, and number of angular nodes are given by L, that is one angular node for p orbitals, two angular nodes for d orbitals, and so on. The total number of nodes are given by n minus 1, that is sum of L angular nodes and n minus L minus 1 radial nodes. 2.6.3 Energies of orbitals. The energy of an electron in a hydrogen atom is determined solely by the principal quantum number. Thus, the energy of the orbitals in hydrogen atom increases as follows. 1s less than 2s equal to 2p less than 3s equal to 3p equal to 3d less than 4s equal to 4p equal to 4d equal to 4f less than, and is depicted in figure 2.16. Although the shapes of 2s and 2p orbitals are different, an electron has the same energy when it is in the 2s orbital as when it is present in 2p orbital. The orbitals having the same energy are called degenerate. The 1s orbital in a hydrogen atom, as said earlier, corresponds to the most stable condition and is called the ground state, and an electron residing in this orbital is most strongly held by the nucleus. An electron in the 2s, 2p or higher orbitals in hydrogen atom is in excited state. The energy of an electron in a multi-electron atom, unlike that of the hydrogen atom, depends not only on its principal quantum number but also on its azimuthal quantum number. That is, for a given principal quantum number, SPDF, all have different energies. Within a given principal quantum number, the energy of orbitals increases in the order S less than P less than D less than F. For higher energy levels, these differences are sufficiently pronounced and staggering of orbital energy may result. For example, 4s less than 3d and 6s less than 5d, 4f less than 6p. The main reason for having different energies of the subcells is the mutual repulsion among the electrons in multi-electron atoms. The only electrical interaction present in hydrogen atom is the attraction between the negatively charged electron and the positively charged nucleus. In multi-electron atoms, besides the presence of attraction between the electron and nucleus, there are repulsion terms between every electron and other electrons present in the atom. Thus, the stability of an electron in a multi-electron atom is because total attractive interactions are more than the repulsive interactions. In general, the repulsive interaction of the electrons in the outer shell with the electrons in the inner shell are more important. On the other hand, the attractive interactions of an electron increases with increase of positive charge on the nucleus. Due to the presence of electrons in the inner shells, the electron in the outer shell will not experience the full positive charge of the nucleus. The effect will be lowered due to the partial screening of positive charge on the nucleus by the inner shell electrons. This is known as the shielding of the outer shell electrons from the nucleus by the inner shell electrons, and the net positive charge experienced by the outer electrons is known as effective nuclear charge. Despite the shielding of the outer electrons from the nucleus by the inner shell electrons, the attractive force experienced by the outer shell electrons increases with increase of nuclear charge. In other words, the energy of interaction between the nucleus and electron decreases with the increase of atomic number. Both the attractive and repulsive interactions depend upon the shell and shape of the orbital in which the electron is present. For example, electrons present in spherical shape s orbital shields the outer electron from the nucleus more effectively as compared to electrons present in p orbital. Similarly, electrons present in p orbital shield the outer electrons from the nucleus more than the electrons present in d orbitals, even though all these orbitals are present in the same shell. Further within a shell, due to spherical shape of s orbital, the s orbital electron spends more time close to the nucleus in comparison to p orbital electron, which spends more time in the vicinity of nucleus in comparison to d orbital electron. In other words, for a given shell, the Z effect experienced by the electron decreases with increase of azimuthal quantum number. That is, the s orbital electron will be more tightly bound to the nucleus than p orbital electron, which in turn will be better tightly bound than the d orbital electron. The energy of electrons in s orbital will be lower than the of p orbital electron, which will have less energy than that of d orbital electron, and so on. Since the extent of shielding from the nucleus is different for electrons in different orbitals, it leads to the splitting of energy levels within the same shell. That is, energy of electron in an orbital, as mentioned earlier, depends upon the values of n and l. Mathematically, the dependence of energies of the orbitals on n and l are quite complicated, but one simple rule is that the lower the value of n plus 1 for an orbital, the lower is its energy. If two orbitals have the same value of n plus l, the orbital with lower value of n will have the lower energy. The table 2.5 illustrates the rule, and figure 2.16 depicts the energy level of multi-electrons atoms. It may be noted that different subcells of a particular shell have different energies in case of multi-electrons atoms. However, in hydrogen atom, these have the same energy. Lastly, it may be mentioned here that energies of the orbitals in the same subshell decreases with increase in the atomic number. For example, energy of 2s orbital of hydrogen atom is greater than that of 2s orbital of lithium, and that of lithium is greater than that of sodium, and so on. 2.6.4 Filling of orbitals in atom. The filling of electrons into the orbitals of different atoms takes place according to the Aufbau principle, which is based on the Pauli's exclusion principle, the Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity, and the relative energies of the orbitals. Aufbau principle. The word Aufbau in German means building up. The building up of orbitals means the filling up of orbitals with electrons. The principle states, in the ground state of the atoms, the orbitals are filled in order of their increasing energies. In other words, electrons first occupy the lowest energy orbital available to them and enter into higher energy orbitals only after the lower energy orbitals are filled. As you have learned above, energy of a given orbital depends upon effective nuclear charge, and different type of orbitals are affected to different extent. Thus, there is no single ordering of energies of orbitals which will be universally correct for all atoms. However, following order of energies of the orbitals is extremely useful. 1s, 2s, 2p, 3s, 3p, 4s, 3d, 4p, 5s, 4d, 5p, 4f, 5d, 6p, 7s, and onward. The order may be remembered by using the method given in figure 2.17. Starting from the top, the direction of the arrows gives the order of filling of orbitals, that is starting from right top to bottom left. With respect to placement of outermost valence electrons, it is remarkably accurate for all atoms. For example, valence electron in potassium must choose between 3d and 4s orbitals, and as predicted by this sequence, it is found in 4s orbital. The above order should be assumed to be a rough guide to the feeling of energy levels. In many cases, the orbitals are similar in energy, and small changes in atomic structure may bring about a change in the order of filling. Even then, the above series is a useful guide to the building of the electronic structure of an atom, provided that it is remembered that exceptions may occur. Pauli exclusion principle. The number of electrons to be filled in various orbitals is restricted by the exclusion principle given by the Austrian scientist Wolfgang Pauli in 1926. According to this principle, no two electrons in an atom can have the same set of four quantum numbers. Pauli exclusion principle can also be stated as only two electrons may exist in the same orbital, as these electrons must have opposite spin. This means that the two electrons can have the same value of three quantum numbers n, l, and ml, but must have the opposite spin quantum number. The restriction imposed by Pauli's exclusion principle on the number of electrons in an orbital helps in calculating the capacity of electrons to be present in any subshell. For example, subshell 1s comprises one orbital, and thus the maximum number of electrons present in 1s subshell can be 2. In P and D subcells, the maximum number of electrons can be 6 and 10 and so on. This can be summed up as the maximum number of electrons in the shell with principal quantum number n is equal to 2n square. Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. These rules deal with the filling of electrons into the orbitals belonging to the same subcell in bracket, that is orbitals of equal energy, called degenerate orbitals. It states pairing of electrons in the orbitals belonging to the same subcell does not take place until each orbital belonging to that subcell has got one electron each, that is, it is singly occupied. Since there are 3p, 5d and 7f orbitals, therefore the pairing of electrons will start in the p, d and f orbitals with the entry of 4th, 6th and 8th electron respectively. It has been observed that half-filled and fully filled degenerate set of orbitals acquire extra stability due to their symmetry. 2.6.5 Electronic configuration of atoms. The distribution of electrons into orbitals of an atom is called its electronic configuration. If one keeps in mind the basic rules which govern the filling of different atomic orbitals, the electronic configurations of different atoms can be written very easily. The electronic configuration of different atoms can be represented in two ways. For example, SAPBDC notation and SPB orbital diagram. In the first notation, the subcell is represented by the respective letter symbol, and the number of electrons present in the subcell is depicted as the superscript like A, B, C, etc. The similar subshell represented for different shells is differentiated by writing the principal quantum number before the respective subshell. In the second notation, each orbital of the subshell is represented by a box, and the electron is represented by an arrow, a positive spin, or an arrow, a negative spin. The advantage of second notation over the first is that it represents all the four quantum numbers. The hydrogen atom has only one electron which goes in the orbital which the lowest energy, namely 1s. The electronic configuration of the hydrogen atom is 1s, meaning that it has one electron in the 1s orbital. The second electron is helium, can also occupy the 1s orbital. Its configuration is therefore 1s2. As mentioned above, the two electrons differ from each other with opposite spin, as can be seen from the orbital diagram. The third electron of lithium is not allowed in the 1s orbital because of Pauli exclusion principle. It therefore takes the next available choice, namely the 2s orbital. The electronic configuration of lithium is 1s to 2s1. The 2s orbital can accommodate one more electron. The configuration of beryllium atom is therefore 1s to 2s2. In the next 6 elements, boron 1s to 2s to 2p1, carbon 1s to 2s to 2p2, nitrogen 1s to 2s to 2p3, oxygen 1s to 2s to 2p4, fluorine 1s to 2s to 2p5, and neon 1s to 2s to 2p6. The 2p orbitals get progressively filled. This process is completed with the neon atom. The orbital picture of these elements can be represented as follows. The electronic configuration of the element sodium 1s2 2s2 2p6 3s1 to argon 1s2 2s2 2p6 3s2 3p6 follow exactly the same pattern as the elements from lithium to neon, with the difference that the 3s and 3p orbitals are getting filled now. This process can be simplified if we represent the total number of electrons in the first two shells by the name of element neon. The electronic configuration of the elements from sodium to argon can be written as, for sodium, Ne, that is neon 3s1, or for argon, neon 3s2 3p6. The electrons in the completely filled shells are known as core electrons, and the electrons that are added to the electronic shell with the highest principal quantum number are called valence electrons. For example, the electrons in neon are the core electrons, and the electrons from sodium to argon are the valence electrons. In potassium and calcium, the 4s orbital being lower in energy than the 3d orbitals is occupied by 1 and 2 electrons respectively. A new pattern is followed beginning with scandium. The 3d orbital being lower in energy than the 4p orbital is filled first. Consequently, in the next 10 elements, scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, and zinc, the 5 3d orbitals are progressively occupied. We may be puzzled by the fact that chromium and copper have 5 and 10 electrons in 3d orbitals rather than 4 and 9, as their position would have indicated, with 2 electrons in the 4s orbital. The reason is that fully filled orbitals and half-filled orbitals have extra stability, that is lower energy. Thus P3, P6, D5, D10, F7, F14, etc. Configurations which are either half-filled or fully filled are more stable. Chromium and copper therefore adopt the D5 and D10 configuration. With the saturation of the 3d orbitals, the filling of the 4p orbital starts at gallium and is complete at krypton. In the next 18 element from rubidium to xenon, the pattern of filling the 5s, 4d and 5p orbitals are similar to that of 4s, 3d and 4p orbitals as discussed above. Then comes the turn of the 6s orbital. In cesium and the barium, this orbital contains 1 and 2 electrons respectively. Then from lanthanum to mercury, the filling up of electrons takes place in 4f and 5d orbitals. After this filling of 6p, then 7s and finally 5f and 6d orbital takes place. The elements after uranium are all short-lived and all of them are produced artificially. The electronic configurations of the known elements as determined by spectroscopic methods are tabulated in table 2.6. One may ask, what is the utility of knowing the electronic configuration? The modern approach to the chemistry in fact depends almost entirely on electronic distribution to understand and explain chemical behavior. For example, questions like why two or more atoms combine to form molecules, why some elements are metals while others are non-metals, why elements like helium and argon are not reactive but elements like halogens are reactive, find simple explanation from the electronic configuration. These questions have no answer in the Daltonian model of atom. A detailed understanding of the electronic structure of atom is therefore very essential for getting an insight into the various aspects of modern chemical knowledge. 2.6.6 Stability of completely filled and half filled subshells. The ground state electronic configuration of the atom of an element always corresponds to the state of the lowest total electronic energy. The electronic configurations of most of the atoms follow the basic rules given in section 2.6.5. However, in certain elements such as copper or chromium, where the two subshells differ slightly in their energies, an electron shifts from a subshell of lower energy to a subshell of higher energy, provided such a shift results in all orbitals of the subshell of higher energy getting either completely filled or half filled. The valence electronic configurations of chromium and copper therefore are 3d5 4s1 and 3d10 4s1 respectively, and not 3d4 4s2 and 3d9 4s2. It has been found that there is extra stability associated with these electronic configurations. Causes of stability of completely filled and half-filled subshells. The completely filled and completely half-filled subshells are stable due to the following reasons. First, symmetrical distribution of electrons. It is well known that symmetry leads to stability. The completely filled or half-filled subcells have symmetrical distribution of electrons in them and are therefore more stable. Electrons in the same subcell have equal energy but different spatial distribution. Consequently, their shielding of one another is relatively small and the electrons are more strongly attracted by the nucleus. Second, exchange energy. The stabilizing effect arises whenever two or more electrons with the same spin are present in the degenerate orbitals of a subcell. These electrons tend to exchange their position and the energy released due to this exchange is called exchange energy. The number of exchanges that can take place is maximum when the subcell is either half filled or completely filled. As a result, the exchange energy is maximum and so is the stability. You may note that the exchange energy is at the basis of Hund's rule that electrons which enter orbitals of equal energy have parallel spins as far as possible. In other words, the extra stability of half-filled and completely filled subcell is due to relatively small shielding, smaller Coulombic repulsion energy, and larger exchange energy. Details about the exchange energy will be dealt with in higher classes. Summary: atoms are the building blocks of elements. They are the smallest parts of an element that chemically react. The first atomic theory, proposed by John Dalton in 1808, regarded atom as the ultimate indivisible particle of matter. Towards the end of the 19th century, it was proved experimentally that atoms are divisible and consist of three fundamental particles: electrons, protons, and neutrons. The discovery of subatomic particles led to the proposal of various atomic models to explain the structure of atom. Thomson in 1898 proposed that an atom consists of uniform sphere of positive electricity with electrons embedded into it. This model, in which mass of the atom is considered to be evenly spread over the atom, was proved wrong by Rutherford's famous alpha particle scattering experiment in 1909. Rutherford concluded that atom is made up of a tiny positively charged nucleus at its center with electrons revolving around it in circular orbits. Rutherford model, which resembles the solar system, was no doubt an improvement over Thomson's model, but it could not account for the stability of the atom. That is why the electron does not fold into the nucleus. Further, it was also silent about the electronic structure of atoms, that is about the distribution and relative energies of electrons around the nucleus. The difficulties of the Rutherford model were overcome by Niels Bohr in 1913 in his model of the hydrogen atom. Bohr postulated that electron moves around the nucleus in circular orbits. Only certain orbits can exist and each orbit corresponds to a specific energy. Bohr calculated the energy of electron in various orbits and for each orbit predicted the distance between the electron and nucleus. Bohr model, though offering a satisfactory model for explaining the spectra of the hydrogen atom, could not explain the spectra of multi-electron atoms. The reason for this was soon discovered. In Bohr model, an electron is regarded as a charged particle moving in a well-defined circular orbit about the nucleus. The wave character of the electron is ignored in Bohr's theory. An orbit is a clearly defined path, and this path can completely be defined only if both the exact position and the exact velocity of the electron at the same time are known. This is not possible according to the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Bohr model of the hydrogen atom therefore not only ignores the dual behavior of electron but also contradicts Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Erwin Schrödinger in 1926 proposed an equation called Schrödinger equation to describe the electron distributions in space and allowed energy levels in atom. This equation incorporates de Broglie's concept of wave-particle duality and is consistent with Heisenberg uncertainty principle. When Schrödinger equation is solved for the electron in hydrogen atom, the solution gives the possible energy states the electron can occupy in bracket and the corresponding wave function, which in fact are the mathematical function of the electron associated with each energy state. This quantized energy states and corresponding wave functions, which are characterized by a set of three quantum numbers: principal quantum number n, azimuthal quantum number L, and magnetic quantum number ML, arises as a natural consequences in the solution of the Schrödinger equation. The restrictions on the values of these three quantum numbers also come naturally from this solution. The quantum mechanical model of the hydrogen atom successfully predicts all aspects of the hydrogen atom spectrum, including some phenomena that could not be explained by the Bohr model. According to the quantum mechanical model of the atom, the electron distribution of an atom containing a number of electrons is divided into shells. The cells in turn are thought to consist of one or more subshells, and subshells are assumed to be composed of one or more orbitals which the electrons occupy. While for hydrogen and hydrogen-like systems, all the orbitals within a given shell have same energy, the energy of the orbitals in a multi-electron atom depends upon the values of n and L. The lower the value of n plus L for an orbital, the lower is its energy. If two orbitals have the same n plus L value, the orbital with lower value of n has the lower energy. In an atom, many such orbitals are possible and electrons are filled in those orbitals in order of increasing energy in accordance with Pauli exclusion principle. In bracket, no two electrons in an atom can have the same set of four quantum numbers, and Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity in bracket, pairing of electrons in the orbitals belonging to the same subshell doesn't take place until each orbital belonging to that subshell has got one electron each, that is singly occupied. This forms the basis of the electronic structure of atoms.